Welcome everybody, and thank you so much for having me here to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, and I know you're very passionate about as well. Technology today in the financial industry, what it means and what it means to us humans. So I'll be talking about leading organizational transformation in the digital era. What does it mean? What can we do with it? And especially for you as leaders, what do you need to be aware of? So there's a common wisdom in organizations today. If you want to make enemies, try changing something. As a dean of a business school, I've noticed this myself in my leadership. Every time you try to change something, people resist. They push back. They don't want to listen. They don't want to see what the value is. And this is where your leadership needs to be displayed. You need to make sure that people understand the meaning of change. We just heard change is all around us. But what does this mean in the digital era? It means that change has a specific type and form today. And it's not COVID, because COVID has forced us to change, but COVID has made us aware of one thing. Today, when we talk about business, we talk about technology. We talk about digital transformation. There's no escape from that. Like John Chambers, former CEO of Cisco, also said, at least 40% of all business will die in the next 10 years if they don't figure out how to change their entire company to accommodate new technologies. And today I want to focus on what it means your entire company. It's not only simply buying technology, everyone needs to be involved if we want to change effectively. And one type of digital transformation you cannot escape from today is AI adoption. AI adoption is basically king. And AI, what is important, it's not the new kid on the block. The first time AI was used as a term was 1956. And up till mid-1970s, the world believed AI will change everything. AI will reach human level of intelligence. But then winter set in. We didn't achieve what we thought AI was going to achieve. But all of this changed in the 21st century, as you know. Because one thing that changed was that suddenly we started thinking about our companies as data. We didn't think about our companies so much anymore as people and relationships between people, but more, we're sitting on data. The financial industry sits on data. Can we use this? Can we capitalize on it? And yes, we can. The answer is AI. AI, the way I define it, is computers that act in ways that seems intelligent. And this is where we love AI, actually, in our financial industry. It has learning capabilities. It can teach us something about our data. It can help us to predict, to forecast. So AI is there because it has a certain self-learning capability. And of course, this is where we can commercialize AI as well, and business gets interested. If you see at some of the numbers that I'm showing here, the commercial value, the economic value of AI is unprecedented. PwC predicts by 2030 at least $16 trillion the global economy can earn by just applying AI. And if you listen to executives around the globe, one thing they expect from AI is that it will change everything. We expect even more from it than the internet, which was brought to the public in 1994, 1995. It will have a larger impact, we expect. This is massive. But if you look at the numbers, we also see another problem. AI is there to be used. AI will not go away, but if we really look at what value it creates today, it's pretty disappointing. Recent surveys indicate that about 87% of companies worldwide fail in their digital transformation. Failing meaning really to optimize their numbers. In my own center at Singapore, the Center on AI Technology for Humankind, we looked at in Asia and the Middle East, and we saw that on average, 90% of companies indicate, yes, we use AI, but only about 15 to 16% of those companies are able to upscale, meaning their entire company. Remember what John Chambers said? It's about your entire company. 15 to 16% only capitalize. So what is happening? We have the technology, it's developing very rapidly, but we don't seem to be able to create value. And one of the issues that I've seen in my consultancy worldwide is the lack of business leadership being involved in digital transformations. I see it so many times. Companies start with a lot of enthusiasm based on the stories they've heard. We need AI. Most of their budget goes to adopting AI, buying AI. I see companies spending 70 to 90% on technology alone, not leaving too much for the implementation stage, because we believe it's about buying the technology. But then, 1-2 years into the digital transformation trajectory, I hear other voices. Suddenly, they seem to be lacking budget because we don't have the right infrastructure. Or we didn't identify the right talents which we have to recruit now. But what's the real value? How do I motivate my people to work with AI? They seem to be aversive of the technology. They're concerned about their jobs. What about the governance? What do we need to rely on when we want to use AI ethically, responsibly, in service of humans and society? These things seem to be missing. And one realization is that once we bring in technology, we think technology will do the job, and we leave the leadership of digital transformation to our tech people, the people who are trained like tech experts. And I call this the myth of tech driving tech transformation. Technology will take care of our technology transformation by means of our business tech experts. But think about this. Ask yourself the question, are your tech experts, your IT department, your developers, your data scientists and analytics, are they trained as business leaders? Do they know the business as you do as a business expert? No, they're not trained like that. They don't know the questions and strategies you should be asking for your business. But nevertheless, we seem to delegate the leadership of digital transformation to our tech experts. And this is a very important question, and also a conclusion at the same time, that we can't delegate digital transformation for our company to our tech experts. As a business leader, you are responsible. So that brings certain challenges for you there. How do you lead digital transformation while not being a tech expert? Now, it's an important question, but also I don't see too many business leaders devoting attention to it, training themselves. And that's a pity, because the mindset of tech driving tech transformation, I'm a business leader, I'm not a tech expert, I leave it to the tech experts, I sideline myself, and unfortunately, the upscaling of your AI adoption project fails, is a mindset that is very pervasive. And it looks a little bit like this, tech driving tech transformation, where we have a pyramid where business leaders make their cost-benefit analysis. That's how they're trained. And one economic principle is, of course, the easier it is to access technology, the cheaper technology gets, which is happening right now, the more we'll use it. So it's an investment. AI adoption is investment in technology. That's the mindset, which means we're developing our companies, we're structuring it in ways that fits intelligent machines. And if that's happening, we expect our workforce to do the same. Act as a robot, act as an intelligent machine. You see, if you start thinking like this, you end up with this pyramid, where ultimately we seem to be creating organizations that suit technology more than humans. And I call this the replication paradigm. Can we replicate our people by means of intelligent machines? Implicit here is also what I call a zero-sum game. Machine and humans are in competition. This is what happens when business leaders don't feel involved in your digital transformation journey, when they sideline themselves and delegate tech transformation to the tech experts. And it's dominant. And there's actually good reasons, because it's not only cost effective, but if we look at how effective AI can be in one simple task, just take a look at what happens here. Very effective. So if you have to compete with a robot in that way, you're not going to compete, are you? So you see, if we as business leaders sideline ourselves, delegate it to tech experts, and believe it's a zero-sum game, it's pure economics, yes, we replicate. And then everything we want to focus on, our human skills, our human development, does it still matter? A lot of business people are not thinking about this, but there are consequences there. If this is the road we're going to walk, we create our organizations for robots, intelligent machines to flourish, with humans maybe in service of machine rather than the other way around. Some consequences will be that ultimately we will lose certain human skills that are needed to drive our organizations. I love this cartoon because it shows a reality that comes along with this myth of tech driving tech transformations. So 3 robots among each other saying, it's agreed we need to hire a human to get around these. A human that can tick the box, I'm not a robot. Because indeed, one of the consequences may be, if we see artificial intelligence, the level of intelligence, as equal to our human intelligence, and we see it as a replicating paradigm, we run the risk of losing the skills that are unique to being a human. And I'm not the only one who's saying this. Science is backing this up. Recent neuroscience findings show that once you don't train the soft skills that are unique to us as humans, which is emotional intelligence, empathy, critical thinking, seeing the bigger picture, making a judgment call, anticipating as a leader, what is it that the challenges are of the future? How should we respond to those? How should we deal with those? If we don't train those skills, if we don't give our human workforce those challenges to keep occupied with those skills, neuroscience shows that the connections between what happens in our brain, the neurons, the information that goes along to these in our brain, will weaken rather than strengthen, which means we become less skilled in what makes us unique. And that would be a problem if we lose those soft skills. Because at the end of the day, we may talk about ChatGPT, for example, as an oracle. Because whatever you ask it, it provides you with an answer. But one thing you cannot forget, and I will come back to this later, is at the end of the day, you still need to define the problem for any AI, and you need to interpret what every AI provides to you, especially with respect to the future that you can anticipate. Those are skills uniquely to humans. So we cannot run the risk to lose those. So that means in the AI era, we need to be more human than ever. We need to value what makes us human more than we've ever done before. We need to train it more, And we need to see it as our asset towards the future, in addition to what artificial intelligence can bring us. So it's predicted by 2030 that occupations will grow at 2.5 times the jobs and account for 2/3 of all the jobs involving soft skills. So basically, investing in soft skills is needed because the jobs of the future for our human workforce will be dominated by those soft skills. Google organized their Project Oxygen to determine what skills do we expect from our managers, our leaders. And what they found was soft skills were preferred over STEM skills, science, technology, mathematics. Soft skills matter more for our managers and leaders in the futures as well. Oh, sorry. So, if we know this, that on one hand, digital transformations, business leaders sideline themselves and we see many failures because they're not involved. And then on the other hand, we cannot run the risk of losing our soft skills because we need human skills more than ever today. What is it that you as business leaders need to know? Well, there are 3 points in my view that are important to realize. The first one is, yes, you need to have some tech savviness. AI can help us in amazing ways. It can analyze data in faster ways, larger sets of data than we can, make it transparent to help us, to assist us. So the first thing that I want you to do as a business leader is to understand the art of the possible with AI, meaning what is AI really good at? That's the tech savviness level you need to know in order to make meaningful what your business strategy today is going to be. The second thing is that you need to realize that AI adoption is more than buying technology alone. Like I mentioned earlier, I see so many business leaders when they're putting their budgets together and their boards, when they're evaluating those budgets, being okay with spending most of that money to the first stage, which is adopting the AI, bringing it into the organization, and have their tech experts work with it. It's more than that. Once you bring in the AI, people have to work with it. So it doesn't mean that once you bring in AI, suddenly you have an operations culture, that you have an effective analytics culture, and the tech will do whatever it needs to do. That would be the same as you driving a Tesla and saying, hey, I'm an analytics person now because I'm driving a Tesla. It's not because your organization bought the best technology. It has an analytics culture. Second thing to remember. Third thing to remember is that AI adoption is not simply plug and play with immediate returns. Once you bring it in, the returns will be there immediately. It's basically a J-curve. Technology reveals its true value much later in the process, and important here, it reveals its value in collaboration with humans. And that value can only be revealed if we have our business leaders participating to empower our employees, our human workforce in the right ways. So those are 3 things that I want you to realize. So how do we work with? Let's look at the first point, the art of the possible with AI. So just to create a little bit of tech savviness, what is it that AI can do and what is it that AI cannot do that you need to know? As I said, it analyzes data sets at amazing fast ways. It's an advanced calculator, puts together data, can come up with new combinations much faster than you do. Look at ChatGPT. Does that mean it's very creative? No, AI in itself not. It can create combinations, but creativity also means, is it meaningful and relevant to solve our problems that we as humans consider important? AI is lacking there somewhat because it doesn't have a semantics of the world outside of us. I always say AI knows people. It knows people. Why? Because it has your data. It can analyze the pattern and it can predict. But AI is not a human. It knows humans, but it is not a human. So you can see this lack of connection to the real world when we say, for example, if we use analogies, if I will tell you a story and you may recognize it, you see there's an analogy, and you say, oh, the same thing happened to me. Well, AI cannot infer from one situation what it learned there to another situation. It's limited in that because it's not a participant in that world. Another thing is, and this is especially important between cultures, you know, when you go to certain cultures, sometimes you have to listen to the context. You have to read between the lines. People may say yes. For example, in South Korea, they may say yes very directly, but they actually mean no. You need to read between the lines. And AI cannot do this. A very simple illustration is, consider these 3 sentences. I call a steak restaurant to make a reservation. I go to the restaurant and I'm seated at a table, receive a menu with the steak options on it. I leave the restaurant and leave a tip for the waiter. When I ask you now, did I eat a steak? Most of you will say, yes, you probably ate a steak. What will AI say? No, because it didn't mention that I ate a steak. It doesn't infer that. It doesn't read in between the lines. And that complicates cultural exchanges already, where we have many cultures where you need to understand the context. Another one that is important to realize the limitations of AI, and especially in the financial industry, is what I call causality and the power to anticipate. Yes, AI can make forecasts, very important here, especially in fintech, fast, better forecasts. But it's important to understand causality. So what do I mean by that? Recent studies have shown that if AI understands A leads to B, it doesn't necessarily understand that B is connected to A. Just to give you a very simple example. You all know this guy, yeah? Tom Cruise, sitting here in the Burj Khalifa for one of his Mission Impossible movies. So, his mother, I think it's Julie Lee, a computer learned Tom Cruise's mother is Julie Lee. But when he was asked, Julie Lee is the mother of who? AI couldn't say it's Tom Cruise. And this is what we call reverse causality. And why is this important to realize that this is crucial in what we do with AI? Well, you have to think about it this way. ChatGPT can produce an outcome for you. It can be something that you think, wow, that's valuable. It's a solution to something. But a solution to what? So as a human, you can say, I have a solution here. Let me find a problem that I can use that solution for. AI cannot do this. Because remember, we have to identify the problem first before AI can work. Then it produces something, and that's all defined and fixed by a human. But the reverse causality of I have a solution, let me find a problem, AI cannot do. And this is where we find our innovation. You all know the Post-it, yeah? Put it everywhere. Well, that was an example of reverse causality. They wanted to find out a new type of glue, but it turned out the adhesive wasn't strong enough. So they have a solution now. They created something. But what they came up with is, hey, we can use it for something else, and hence the Post-it was born. So this is where AI is very limited. And I don't need to explain to you in the financial industry what this means in markets. When you see trends happening, and suddenly these trends are not rationally predicted, but irrational. You need to be able to engage in that reverse causality. AI cannot do this. This is that human judgment that we need. So that's the art of the possible that you need to understand. The second thing, like I said, what you need to understand is that AI adoption is more than buying technology. It's not simply AI replaces humans, but it is, as I've shown, to assist you, to augment. So some of my work with Grandmaster Chess Garry Kasparov is really focusing on this. Garry Kasparov always says that his loss to Deep Blue in 1997 was a victory for humans. And most people don't understand. Why? You lost to a computer, Gary. Why is this a victory to humans? Well, because it showed that some things that we're weak in, computers are strong at. He organized several tournaments after his defeat. And every time again that tournament showed the best combination is strong computers, AI, average players. They revealed the best outcomes. So basically, what he was saying is AI can help us enhance our human intelligence. And now you see why it's so important. We can't lose our human intelligence. We can't lose our soft skills. ChatGPT is a great example of this, of augmentation. As I said, you can ask it anything. Have the right prompts, you get combinations, you get results. Now it's integrative technology. You get text together with audio, with images, and it goes very fast. Great. But at the end of the day, you still need to interpret it, and that's a human skill. So basically, ChatGPT is a real augmentation tool because the human is here, the feedback loop. We keep asking questions, hence our soft skill of asking critical questions, seeing the big picture. We interpret the outcome. It's augmentation. Third point that I said you need to be aware of is AI adoption is not simply plug and play with immediate returns. No, you need the right kind of leadership to make AI create value for you. So there are three responsibilities for you as leaders today. The first one is you need to bring the idea of AI, what we talk about abstractly, to reality. What does it mean in your business? And then from that reality, what it means in your business, you need to bring it to work. How are you going to use it? And once you start using it, how does it create value? Well, there are three types of leadership that we need, three types of ways of leading. The first type I call the preparation stage, bringing the idea of AI to reality. You need to be tech savvy, like I said, but you also need to be visionary. Visionary because AI needs to become part of your DNA of your company. It needs to be seen as something we're going to work with, which is a co-worker. But it's a mean to an end. AI cannot be seen as an end in itself because that's threatening to your employees, but it's also the replication paradigm. You cannot think like this. And as a vision, you need to know and communicate how AI will be governed and used. How will you put it to use? You need to have that idea out there. You also need to be an inclusive leader in this stage of preparation. You need to make sure there's no silos. You need to make sure that business and tech experts communicate together. So you as a leader need to be tech savvy enough to coordinate that. You need to make sure that humans stay in the loop, that AI is not used as a black box. Sometimes we see when we start automating, we take humans out of the communication and feedback loop. As I just showed you, augmentation is where the human is the feedback, which means flat communication. We need feedback from every level of the organization. That's inclusive leadership. That takes part when you bring the idea of AI to reality. The second thing is making AI put to work, meaning that your people accept AI, which means you need to be human-centered. You need to understand that AI adoption is a holistic approach. People are your asset, humans first. Don't treat them as a data point. but as people who are going to work with your AI to make themselves work better and make the organization grow. That means as leaders, you need to be able to build relationships and communicate with the right tone. Don't derogate humans in favor of machine. Also make sure that when humans know, employees know they use AI, don't say, oh, you know what, AI is helping you, you'll earn less now for the same job. No, they need to be trained, they need to be reskilled, they need to interpret. Their jobs are valuable. Without humans, the AI won't work. And this leads to what we call the feeling economy. In the future, for every human being, your soft skills will determine the larger part of your salary compared to your hard skills. And finally, value creation. You need to make sure that you're a purpose-driven leader. What is the purpose of your organization and how are you going to use AI for it? We've seen Google, Microsoft engage in an AI race, trying to beat each other. And my problem here is, when the purpose of your organization becomes profit, when you commercialize AI, then we create a problem. It's about your purpose. Apple, for example, stays away from large language models because they're fast followers, but also they're concerned about privacy and governance much more. They didn't engage because they followed their purpose. So basically the conclusion is, digital transformation starts with people and not technology. Augmentation strategy is key here, which means decrease investments in technology if you see your budget is up to 90%, and increase investment in people and job enrichment. Adopt human-centered AI approaches. And as a leader, I ask you to be purpose-driven, know the purpose of your organization, and curiosity to ask the right kind of questions, because data don't provide your purpose, you provide the purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, David. What a rich content you had there. But before you go, I was really impressed when you were speaking about AI and how it's not gonna make people lose their jobs, especially in this sector. How can we prove it in just one sentence? What would you say?
Basically, invest and invest big in creating the new jobs of the future. Because AI can do 97% of what we do today, but that 3% that we are unique, those new jobs need to build on that 3%. Invest big.
I like that. David de Kramer, everybody.